Hello everyone and welcome to another end of season Kickabout video where we're going through the season, putting some fun and different twists on our team of the season type stuff. And what we've got for you today is a best 11, so team of the season if you like, but we can only pick players who didn't play for a team that finished in the top 6 in the Premier League this season. So that would exclude City, Arsenal, United, Newcastle, Brighton and United. Is that right? Or did I say United twice? Liverpool. Yeah. Sorry. So outside of that, so it means we can still pick Chelsea, Spurs, although I can't imagine there'd be too many of those players in our team. And obviously from that point forward. So I just thought it'd be different because team of the seasons each year generally tend to be the same sort of players. We thought maybe just recognise some of the other teams in the league who've had players who've done well respectively for their clubs. So I've gone for a 4-3-3.
Nice.
Okay. There was one position I really struggled with, and I had to be a little bit biased and just went for a West Ham player because I just couldn't think of anybody. I looked at all the teams, went through them, and I just couldn't think of anyone. So I thought, fuck it, I'll just go for a West Ham player. But in goal, and I think there's probably quite a few candidates you could have picked for this. Yeah. Because there's been some good goalies outside the top 6. I feel. I went for a January signing, Keylor Navas. Did you go the same? I mean, he's just been brilliant. Yeah. It's not over exaggerating this to say that he is largely the reason that they stayed up. Yeah. And to think that Nottingham Forest were at the bottom of the Championship 12 months ago, 18 months ago when Steve Cooper took over, and now they're in the Premier League and they've got Keylor Navas, a Real Madrid top goalkeeper who's turning up and playing for them at the City ground every week. It's quite incredible for the journey they've been on. And I just think he's been brilliant. As I say, there's other candidates. I'm sure people can name some other ones, but
I think Leno for Fulham had a good season as well.
But Leno, Raya for Brentford, been very good. A couple of other candidates, but I thought Keylor Navas, respectively for his team, I think he made such an impact when he came into that team. Yeah. Eyebrows were raised when he went there as to why have you gone there? Is your career that done? But clearly based on his performances, his career is far from done. It looks like he's got a lot in the tank.
Obviously I done Keylor Navas as well. My left back, I went for, I can't remember his first name, but Moreno from Aston Villa.
Alex Moreno.
Was he a January signing as well?
He might have been, yeah.
But he was so good for Aston Villa, and obviously when Unai Emery joined as well, Villa have just shot up that table, and I think they had one of the best records other than Man City. Yeah. In the second half of the season.
I've actually, interestingly, I've not picked a single Aston Villa player in my team, but I just want to call out before I get hounded by Aston Villa fans, any Aston Villa fans watching this, they have had a brilliant season, but the players that I've picked, I just feel like were really good for their teams for various reasons. Actually, do you know what? My West Ham right back that I was going to pick, I'll put Matty Cash in there just so that I've got an Aston Villa player in there to represent what a great season they've had. He stands in there as a right back to represent how good they've been this season. Anyway, we're doing left backs anyway. I went left back. I went Tyrick Mitchell for Crystal Palace. Oh yeah. I think he's a player with a huge future ahead of him. Still very young. He's on the fringes of the England team. He's been involved a couple of times. Goes quite under the radar, I feel. Crystal Palace are quite an under the radar type team anyway. But when you do hear about them, it tends to be Elise, Eze, Zaha, those sorts of players. Doesn't tend to be Tyrick Mitchell. So probably suits him because it allows him to go about his football and get on with life. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point he moved on from Palace, if Palace themselves don't progress. I think he's had a good season.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right back, I'll go for the right back. Matty Cash, as I've obviously said, because he's going to represent Aston Villa. We've had a fantastic season. I know Matty Cash hasn't played all year. I think he's been in and out of the team for various reasons, I think. But honestly, I couldn't think of a single right back who really stood out enough to go, you're the right back I must have in this best 11 from the non-top 6. You might be about to say right back, and I'll probably go, oh yeah, I forgot about him.
No, to be fair, I struggle with right back as well. I ended up going for Tete from Fulham.
He was one I was looking at. Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah, I thought he was a really good signing this season. I'm pretty sure they signed him this season. Otherwise, I've just made myself look like an idiot. But yeah, I thought Tete.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's still been playing for Fulham this year, so he falls into the category.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Yeah. But there were a few Fulham defenders I was thinking of choosing, but because of other players from other teams, I was trying to sort of differentiate as much as possible. So yeah, I went for Tete.
Yeah. No, I did the same. I was like, I didn't want to just pick 4 players from one team. I kind of wanted to mix it up and give some props to as many teams as I could within reason. Right, your centre backs.
My centre back. So the first one I went for was Ben Mee from Brentford.
Okay.
I think they signed him this season as well, and he's been unreal for Brentford. Really good signing. It was a signing for them this season because he was a free transfer. So,
he was, yes. He came from
Burnley,
wasn't
relegated, so very much value for money there. And you'll be pleased to know I've gone for Agard.
Okay.
From obviously West Ham. Missed like the first half of the season, but then when he came back, he was pretty damn good for you.
He did make a big difference when he came back.
Obviously very good for Morocco as well in the World Cup. Not that makes a difference to this.
No, but I guess, you know, he barely played any football in the lead up to the World Cup, and he came in and Morocco got to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah. So yeah, he had a fantastic World Cup. So my centre backs, I've also gone for Ben Mee. Brighton as a whole have had a fantastic season. Brentford. He's been a big part of that. And you know, for fantasy league managers like us, Ben Mee's been quite a useful player to have this season because they've, for the most part, have been pretty solid at the back, and Ben Mee has been a large part of that, and popped up with the odd goal as well.
Yep.
My other centre back, I went a bit more left field with this. I just thought that he was the only real shining light in a team that's been really, really poor this season, and I went for Thiago Silva because I feel like he has been a fairly consistent performer for Chelsea this season, outside of maybe Badiashile. Maybe I could have gone for him, but I'm thinking, Thiago Silva's leaving. He's going to leave Chelsea in the summer. He's been a fantastic player for them for a couple of years, in his advancing years as well. Makes the game look so easy at times. And it's actually easy to forget that even though Chelsea have had a really bad season, if you look at their goals conceded column, it's one of the better ones in the league. It's just that they can't score goals. And Thiago Silva has been one of the few players that's been reasonably immune from the chopping and changing of the team that Chelsea managers have done this season. So, a little bit left field. I went for Thiago Silva.
Yeah, good choice.
Right, into midfield. What formation did you go for?
So I've gone 4-4-2.
You gone 4-4-2. Okay, so I will do my. Should I just go all three of them?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so midfield 3, I went for Declan Rice. Kind of unsurprising, really, being obviously a West Ham fan, but a little bit like Thiago Silva, Rice has been very much the jewel in our crown this season. He's been, again, the most consistent player. His injury record is unbelievable. I can't remember the last time he ever got injured for West Ham. And he just drives us forward. He just reads the game so well. His stats are incredible. And to me, I'm still really struggling to work out why there are still people out there who don't rate him. Whether you think he's worth 120 million, that's a very different conversation.
Yeah.
And just to put it out there, he's not worth 120 million. But he is worth 120 million to West Ham. And I've always maintained this argument that value is not an intrinsic value that's based on his abilities as a footballer. It's based on everything that he brings as a footballer, as a person, as an asset to West Ham United, and that's what they value him as, because they think, well, he's a homegrown player, if you like. If we're going to sell him, we want to make sure we get a fuck ton of money for him, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to get someone of his quality in the first place. And we want to be compensated for losing one of our best players we've ever had.
Yeah.
So, people need to understand that it's not always just about the value as a player, it's about his value to the club.
Yeah.
Declan Rice in there, obviously England international now as well. Who knows whether he's going to stay or go. I hope he stays, but chances are he probably won't. I went for João Palhinha of Fulham.
Okay.
Had a fantastic season. Ironically, one of the players West Ham are being linked to if Rice goes. His stats have been unbelievable. He's been one of the reasons that Fulham have had such a successful season. Don't actually know. I'm assuming he was a signing this season. I don't think he came up with them from the Championship.
I would say he was a signing.
And he's been superb for them. Really, really good season. And my third centre midfielder, James Maddison. In a team that has obviously very much underperformed, he has continued to score goals and get assists and play really well. You know, we were all, the entire world, or the entire English country, the nation, were sort of slamming Southgate because we thought he wasn't going to pick him for the World Cup, and he did, and then didn't get played. So that tells you the fact that he was in a really poor Leicester side. Even at that time, they were poor because they've been down the bottom end of the league all season. And yet he was still, you know, seen as a player that we could not afford to not take to the World Cup. So yeah, he's had a great season. He will undoubtedly move on from Leicester at the end of this season. Newcastle is looking the more likely destination. I think that will be a phenomenal signing for Newcastle, and hopefully him playing in Champions League regularly might actually get him more involved in the England setup, because I really want to see him play more for England. So Rice, Paulinho and Maddison is my midfield three.
Good choices. My midfield four, I've gone for left mid and right mid, but they are like forward players that I've sort of...
Wingers
that I've put in midfield.
Very attacking manager.
Yeah. Well, if you've been watching our LMA series. So for left mid, I've gone for Eze.
I had him but crossed him out as a striker.
Okay. He's been unreal for Crystal Palace this season. Be surprised if there weren't a few onlookers for him during the transfer window. Especially when Roy Hodgson joined, he seemed to just go up another level.
I can't remember who they played, but that goal he scored a few weeks ago, where Elise sprayed that ball to him, and he took the ball in his stride and went inside and just larped it in the top corner. It was arguably the most satisfying goal to watch. Both the pass, the control, the movement and the dribbling, and then the shot went in like an absolute rocket. It was just superb. Yeah,
he was a great. Him and Elise were great signings for Palace. Two centre midfielders, I've also gone for Declan Rice. I won't go into it too much, don't really need to with Declan Rice. My other one, I went for Andreas Pereira. So both gone for Fulham centre midfielders, but I went for the other one, the Cam. I thought I was intrigued to see how Andreas would do. Obviously, he left United at the start of the season, went to Fulham, and I think he was in everyone's FPL teams because he was a cheap starting 11 player. And I think he's done really well in his first season for Fulham.
Yeah, he has. I think he tailed off a little bit.
He did towards the end, but he started off really strong. Him and Mitrovic linked up quite well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my right midfielder, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's Brennan Johnson.
Oh, for Forest.
From Forest. I've really liked watching him this season. I think he's a talent to watch. He's still young as far as I'm aware. I think he's like 20. I think he's been one of Forest's best players, along with like Taylor Navas, to be honest.
I totally agree. Right, into strikers. Go on, Dan.
So the only Spurs player I went for was Harry Kane. Obviously, Spurs have had a shocker of a season, but Harry Kane has performed like he's playing for Man City. If it wasn't for them, I have no idea where Spurs would have finished this season.
It makes me smile to think about where they would be without him. And in actual fact, we might well find out next season.
Yeah, this is true.
And
my other striker, I went for Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, very good choice. I will explain why I didn't put him in mine in a moment. But no, he's had a bit like all of the Villa players, really, sort of a renaissance under Emery. It's kind of weird actually, because he had that incredible run of goals where he would score basically every game.
Did he break the record for like consecutive goals?
It was consecutive games where he scored. I can't remember if it was. I don't know if it was more than one record, whether he broke the continuous record, but also broke a record for number of away games that he scored in as well, in a row. But it was kind of weird, wasn't it? Because he had that amazing run. I put him in my FPL team kind of too late. I was too late to the party. And then he stopped. But he did. He literally just stopped, and then he scored at the weekend in the final game of the season. And the commentators were describing it as the end of the drought, and it was mad how it just went from one extreme to the other. But no, totally good pick. My front three, I didn't go for Watkins, and here's why. Unsurprisingly, I gone for Harry Kane. Don't need to say anything. 30 goals this season, incredible. return in a very poor side. I went for Mitrovic.
Yeah.
I almost didn't put him in because of that red card.
Yeah.
And how much he fucked his own team over by doing it. I almost didn't do it. But I thought to myself, no, let's judge him based on what he did do. And, we all questioned at the start of the season, could he do it in the Premier League? Because he really had a difficult time of it at Fulham last time they got promoted under Scott Parker. And we weren't sure whether Mitrovic was going to be cutting the mustard in the Premier League. Yeah. Was he a championship striker, etc.? I think he's proved us all wrong. Yeah. He's had a very good season. Again, a bit like Pereira, had a brilliant start to the season, tailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Then he had his suspension, but I think he came back and scored like 2 or 3 goals towards the end of the season after he returned. So, good return for them. They'll be very much keen to see him continue that next season for Fulham. And my last pick, I went for Taiwan Awoniyi from Nottingham Forest. Yeah. So, a little bit of a curveball. This was probably the one that I was thinking, do I put him over Watkins?
Yeah.
And the reason I put him in there is because, a little bit like Keylor Navas, I don't think it's... Those two were probably the main reason that they got out of it. Awoniyi's goals right at the death of that season was so crucial, especially as Brennan Johnson was being benched, surprisingly, towards the end of the season. Awoniyi's goals and Keylor Navas in goal basically kept them in the league. Yeah. And that's not to say the rest of the team didn't step up to the plate, because they absolutely did. Morgan Gibbs-White was great. I thought defensively, they were very solid as well. That performance against Arsenal from a defensive standpoint was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I like that Awoniyi. He's a big... He's a tank. Yeah, he's a big dude. He can hold the ball up well. He's got a good eye for goal. And if, again, a little bit like Mitrovic and Fulham, if Forest have any chance of staying in the league next year, there's a lot of things they need to do, but one of them is to keep him scoring goals. Yeah, some left field picks there, which was...
At least they were quite different.
Yeah, which is kind of why we did it, right? Because there's many options. There'd be lots of other players we could have put in here. We've not talked about Ivan Toney.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be your third choice.
There's lots of other players we could have picked, from various teams. We've not really picked... I could have picked... I really like Leon Bailey, but I thought, no, he's just been injured too much this year. So, yeah, loads of players we could have picked in. So please do let us know what your best 11 would be from outside the top 6 in the Premier League. Because I think
we've missed some glaringly obvious
We probably have missed some glaringly obvious ones, but at the same time, I don't feel like our teams are that bad. No. Also, let us know in the comments who you think has got the best 11 out of me and Dan. That would be quite cool to see what the fans think, what the viewers think. And yeah, let us know what yours are. So thank you very much, everyone. Do hit that like button, comment below with your thoughts, and sub for more, and we'll see you all in the next one.
See you later.